We're now about to enter into the section of this presentation that revolves around bankruptcy and the options of how you can help yourself with your foreclosure in the area of bankruptcy. To start us off, I'm going to be calling up Kevin Gleason to speak. He's an attorney in Hollywood. Kevin, let me give you his intro here. Kevin has emphasized bankruptcy cases for most of his 27 years of practice, and he doesn't look like he's been practicing that long. That has included Chapter 11 cases, adversary proceedings, and appeals. He is certified in business bankruptcy by the American Board of Certification. He was named a Florida Super Lawyer in Florida Super Lawyers magazine of 2006. His professional experience includes 3 years with the Office of the United States Trustee in Miami and a judicial clerkship with 2 bankruptcy judges. He graduated from Villanova University School of Law in 1982 and Cornell University in 1979, but I won't hold that against him. In January 2010, he will be practicing through the Florida Bankruptcy Group, LLC, out of an office in Hollywood, serving all of South Florida from Key West to Fort Pierce. And I give you Kevin Gleason.
Thank you. I think that business cards are very boring. Can you catch that? Okay, we've got the combs, we got the pens. Sir, if you're paying attention to the front, you get the pen. Ma'am, I think you've already been back there. You've probably got the shoehorn already. But the one I leave this around the Hard Rock Cafe. It's the poker chips. Let's see how far back I can get this back to the room. Oops, sorry, I hit taking Maury out. People in the back must have heard that I have a problem spitting on the people in the front, so that's why you're way back there. Now, you can tell I'm very shy and unassuming, and my website demonstrates that. The thing about bankruptcy is I've got this friend who runs a funeral home, and he and I, talking to each other, realized that we're really in the same business. We deal with people who have the same problem over and over and over, and yet to them it's the first time, and for his business, the last time he's ever going to deal with these customers. And we each have a similar sense of humor about what we do. When you call me, I will be very empathetic and will try to understand your problem and make you feel that I feel your pain, the way that Bill Clinton would say that. And then when I hang up the phone, I don't remember who you are, what we talked about. I tell people I should be a priest because as soon as I get out the confessional, I don't know what your sins were. It's a good thing I keep notes. So what we're going to talk about today is a typical sort of an intake interview, what I hear from people and what I generally guide them through when I hear the same problems over and over. I'll get a call at 11 o'clock, a guy who thinks that he's the only one in South Florida who's got real estate that's not worth the amount that is owed on it. And he's got 4 properties. He doesn't know. I just got off the phone with a guy who's got 26. And not one of them has positive cash flow or equity in it. So this is a problem that we're seeing. We got to realize that we're all on the Titanic, and it's sinking, and it's not your fault. You didn't build the boat. You didn't find, you weren't steering the boat. You weren't responsible for looking for that iceberg, but it's sinking. Now, what are you going to do about it? You've got your foreclosure defense. Most of the time, foreclosure defense is going to buy you time, but it's not going to do anything except delay the inevitable when you have to deal with the fact that your house or your investment property is $100,000, is worth $100,000 less than what you owe on it. And every time I get the call, it's either the husband or the wife. About 50-50. Can't be sexist. Somebody wants to keep that house for whatever reason. We raised our children in this house. This is our first house. Our house is beautiful. We got it the way we want it. Okay, now when you're advising your children about their real estate investments, would you ever tell them to pay $430 for something that you could buy for $240? Dead silence on the other end of the phone. Well, no, but it's our house. Okay, well, as long as we know we're dealing with emotions instead of financials, then you're calling the wrong person, because I am not a qualified psychologist. I'm a bankruptcy lawyer. I'm here to solve the financial problem. I'm not here to solve your marital problems, although solving the financial problems more often than not takes care of the marital problems. I love that the movie Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. They say when the marriage is on the rocks are in the bed. Well, you know what? The rocks are in the bed because the wallet's empty. And you get all these tensions. My dad said to me, the two biggest problems you're going to have when you get married are sex and money. And I said, no, Dad, it's all money. Because when there's enough money, everything else flows, you know. So this is my website. It's got a lot of the more technical information. You're welcome to visit it. If you don't take notes today, just remember one thing. It's kgleasonlaw.com. And if you do it real quick, that's going to be the website. If you wait till after January 1st, it's going to be kevingleasonlaw.com. We're going to make some changes at the beginning of the year. And so let's go through the alphabet soup sort of the numbers, what they mean, what the different chapters are. And they are tools. Just like if you open a toolbox, you have a screwdriver, you have a hammer, you have a wrench. Those tools are used for different things. Don't try driving a nail with a screwdriver. You can do it, but it's going to take you a lot longer than if you use the hammer. And that's why you need to understand what the different tools in bankruptcy are and what they are for. And there are 4 commonly discussed chapters of bankruptcy, 7, 11, 12, 13. There's actually 6 chapters. We throw in 9 and 15. But we'd have to add about 4 hours today to discuss what 9 and 15 are about. And none of you qualify for it anyway, so we'll stick with 7, 11, 12, 13. Oh, 12. Any farmers or fishermen here? Okay, well that takes care of the discussion of 12. Now, General Motors and Chrysler, they filed Chapter 11. Anybody here think Obama's going to give you about $20 billion to file bankruptcy? Oh, that takes care of Chapter 11. All right, so 7 and 13. Jeff Solomon's going to talk about 13. Guess what I'm going to talk about? 7. Okay. But seriously, just a quick brief synopsis of what the other chapters are. 7, 11, 12, 13. 7 is liquidation. It's what you think about with the people wearing the barrel. They got the suspenders on. That's chapter 7, okay? Chapter 12 is for farmers and fishermen. That is for basically a reorg. It's like a chapter 13 with higher debt limits and with requirements of the type of income that you've been earning for the last year. And then Chapter 11, of course, reorganization, usually used for complex businesses. However, when Jeff talks to you about Chapter 13, he will review the debt limitations on a Chapter 13. You cannot owe an unlimited amount of money. My recollection is it's about $326,000 for unsecured debt, about $1.1 million for secured debt. If you owe more than either of those numbers, you do not qualify for a Chapter 13. Another problem with the Chapter 13 is that you have to have a regular source of income. If you're unemployed and you have none of your properties rented, you have no regular source of income. You don't have that requirement for Chapter 11. So Chapter 11 is available for individuals, but it is so rare that someone needs that relief that I won't focus on it, unless I have questions about it later. So Chapter 7 is most of my practice is involved in Chapter 7s. Most of my practice by numbers of clients. Most of the time I spend is on the Chapter 11s and the adversary proceedings and appeals. But Chapter 7 is the simplest, fastest, most straightforward of the bankruptcy chapters. It involves filling out paperwork that describes all of your assets, and I mean all of your assets. You got that Rolex that just means more to you than anything else on this planet, and you're not going to tell me about it. Please don't wear it to the meeting of creditors and check the time in front of the trustee. That diamond ring that you don't want to list, please don't wear it to the meeting of creditors and have the trustee say, oh, I see you didn't list that diamond ring on your schedules. You get the idea? People say, well, how are they going to know? Well, they're going to know because you fill out the paperwork and tell them every asset you've got on this planet and what you think it's worth. Because it's not worth and never is worth trading a debt for a felony. You can't wear the Rolex in jail, so don't bother just leaving it off your schedules. So you fill out this paperwork that goes through all of your assets and all of your liabilities. The paperwork gets filed with the bankruptcy court. You know it's filed because you get a case number. So don't think it's filed when you hang up the phone with me after I've just talked to you for the first 10 minutes. Is my bankruptcy filed yet? No, you have to go through a little paperwork. So the paperwork gets filed with the court. You get a case number, and that will start with the year. So after January 1st, the first 2 digits will be 10, and then there'll be 5 digits after that in the Southern District of Florida. That case number is your immediate umbrella of protection, sometimes referred to as the automatic stay. And the automatic stay stops foreclosures,
other lawsuits, phone calls, letters, big burly guy showing up at your house in the middle of the night, breaking your legs, all that. Oh, I don't think it stops that, but you can try. So that's day one is the automatic stay goes into place. These days, the next step is about 40 days later. You meet with the bankruptcy trustee. The bankruptcy trustee is not a judge. They're not a policeman. There's no handcuffs. There's no jury. The meeting is in a room about the size of this room in Broward and Miami-Dade counties. In Palm Beach, it's a smaller room. And it's not private. So there's folks sitting there waiting their turn. But I always tell them, if you ever imagine the Catholics in line at confession, nobody's looking at each other because we all know we're there with the sins. So everybody in this room is there because they're either a lawyer or a client. And they get their turn sitting at a table talking to the trustee for a few minutes. Now, they schedule 4 of these meetings per half hour. You can do that math, 30 minutes, divide by 4. You get about 5 minutes talking to the trustee. And usually that's about all they need. Because if you can imagine how much time it takes to get up from the back of the room, come forward, sit down, stand up, put your arm up, be sworn in, and sit down. Oh, there goes your first 3 minutes. And so the trustee will generally just briefly review any questions that he or she might have regarding, ambiguities, missing things in your paperwork, whatever they don't understand. And if they don't have any questions, they've got some made up just to make you feel like you didn't come there for nothing. Did you read these papers before you signed them? Did you understand everything? Is there any changes you want to make? How'd you find your lawyer? What caused you to get into financial problems, as though they care? And, those sort of questions, and you're on your way.